Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So I want to touch on inactivity, particularly when it comes to Errol the True Spence Jr. There was a tweet where he responded to a fan or somebody who maybe disguised themselves as a fan. You know, you never really know these days. People trolling, people pretending that they fuck with you, but they really don't. You know what I'm saying? But neither here nor there. He responded to a tweet where someone was like, "Hey, hurry up and post your fight date." You know what I'm saying? Or post your fight date. And it genuinely could have been a fan that just ready to see Errol Spence back in the ring. And Earl was like, no, you know, when he responded to the demand of someone saying that, hey, post your fight date. And Errol Spence doubled back and said, I don't apologize for the inactivity. He said, hopefully in the next few weeks, it'll all make sense. Now, what I took from that was Errol Spence saying, hey, look, I'm working on trying to provide the fights that you guys want to see. I'm not interested in coming back just fighting anybody. I'm not going to just take a David Avenesian fight. No disrespect to Terrence Crawford, but just being real, you know, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, they not the same. I'm not just finna take, you know, this. I'm not finna fight Avni Yildirim. You feel me? I want to fight a credible guy. I want to fight someone who is worthy of being in the ring with me. I want to fight a guy, a former world champion or a world champion, or somebody who's deemed as a threat, somebody coming off of the biggest win of their career. That's the type of fighter that I want to fight. Give you an example. He fought Danny Garcia fresh off of the car accident. You know what I'm saying? You know, didn't take no tune up. We talking about Danny Garcia, who was a unified champion at 140, was a world champion at 147. Guy been in the ring with all of the best fighters. You know, you come back off of the car accident, you fight that guy. That was his biggest. That was his longest layoff. His first longest layoff was when he fought Kell Brook for his first world title. Again, Kell Brook was undefeated at 147. Had only lost to Triple G going up for that money grab. And at that time, Kell Brook was rated the #1 fighter at welterweight. And you know, Kell Brook, Errol Spence had his longest layoff at that time. I think it was 17 months. Went overseas, fought Kell Brook, and got the victory off that layoff. Had the car accident, another long layoff. Came back, fought Danny Garcia. Was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao in 2021? Was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao and ended up getting a detached retina, you know, eye injury, right? What'd he do? After the layoff, took time to heal. He came back and fought the guy who beat Manny Pacquiao in Yordenis Ugas, who was coming off the biggest win in his career, and demolished him. You know what I'm saying? So these are the characteristics of Errol the True Spence Jr. He's not gonna just jump in a ring for a money grab just to fight any old fighter. When he comes back, he wants to challenge himself. He wants to be in a ring with guys who are deemed as credible, somebody that he could get up for, somebody that he could really put it all on the line in training camp, and then when it comes down to the fight. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, I understand what Errol Spence means when he says, I don't apologize for the inactivity, because I truly believe that behind the scenes, Errol Spence is trying to put together the best possible fight, whether that's Terrence Crawford, which, you know, I don't have my hopes up, because I seen what happened before. I seen Errol Spence and his team, you know, have a contract drawn up, ready to go. And, you know, Terrence Crawford say that he agreed to everything, but ultimately he didn't sign the contract. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that happen before, so my hopes are not up. But in a perfect world, that would be the fight that I would want to see. It could be a Keith Thurman fight. You know what I'm saying? Which is another credible opponent. Only lost to Manny Pacquiao. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what Errol Spence is trying to bring to the game of boxing, to his fans, and to the people that want to see him in the ring. So I get that. Another angle that I want to approach this from is, how does inactivity impact Errol Spence as far as his performance in the ring? Now, y'all know I'm an advocate of activity for fighters. Even if you got to fight, Joe Blow, or you got to defend, you got to have like a mandatory versus some guy that we all know you going to beat. And Errol Spence, he look at that shit differently, and I respect that. But for me, I like to see my favorite fighters as often as possible. There's a couple of reasons for that. I like to see guys active because it keeps them operating like a well-oiled machine. It keeps them in the mindset of fighting. It keeps them in shape year-round, in training camp, always ready, always focused and ready to go. And when they get in the ring, you typically see the results of a guy that's been in the gym constantly and been, you don't want to overtrain, but somebody that's been relatively in shape and ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Not far removed from fight weight, not far removed from fight shape. And always in that mentality of, I can have a fight, dropped on my desk. I can have a contract slid across my desk at any moment, and I can be ready to go within 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. You know what I'm saying? 2 to 3 times a year, preferably. Especially when you get to this level, you're really not gonna see guys fight no more than 3 times a year when they reach the highest level of the sport. You know what I'm saying? You'd be lucky if you get 2 fights a year out of guys that you want to see that's at that high level. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my point of view as a fan. I think it makes guys better and more, well-oiled as a machine and operating at the highest level, acclimated to the lights, just ready to go at all times. But for certain guys that have been at this level, remember I just gave y'all the rundown of how Errol Spence approaches this. I'm pretty sure he would like to fight more often, but things have been happening. But when he comes back, he wants to fight a credible guy. Errol Spence has showed time after time that he can have these layoffs of inactivity. Maybe it's not ideal, but he's been doing this shit for so long. He just turned 33. He's, in my opinion, still in the prime of his career. Haven't taken a lot of punishment in the ring. Had some things happen outside the ring, or, not necessarily under the lights in actual fights, that can take a toll on him. And I'm pretty sure he has, experienced some physical damages from these things, but maybe not to a detriment to his career, to the point where he won't be able to be his best self, the best version of himself in the ring when it comes down to performing at the highest level. So certain guys are different, like Floyd Mayweather. Once he got to a certain level in his career, Floyd could fight, 2 times, 1 time a year. And it wouldn't impact him because he was always in shape outside the ring. He had great discipline. He took care of himself. You know what I'm saying? And he just got it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, that guy has it. You dig what I'm saying? Some people, like Floyd always said, hey, one thing you gonna know about me, I can fucking fight. That's just what it come down to it. And certain guys, they have that ability to be able to, all right, look, I don't have to have 2 to 3 fights a year. Even though that's ideal, I've been doing this shit for so long, it's like riding a bike is second nature to me. All I got to do is make sure that I'm in shape, I'm in the gym, I'm focused, I'm training, I'm sparring, because that's very important to keep the rust off. When you get under the lights in the ring, is really not too much of a difference. For some fighters, it's a big deal if you ain't had a real fight in a long time, because most of those guys, they not sparring often, or they not training, they not staying in shape. I believe Errol Spence is constantly working. Ever since he came back from the car accident, his motor has been more similar to how it was in the past, when he was younger. And I think he understands what's at stake now, being a unified champion, holding 3 titles, understanding what's right in front of him, or what could potentially be right in front of him, undisputed world championship fight versus an arguably a pound for pound fighter, the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the sport, Terrence Crawford, depending on who you ask. I believe the winner of that fight, if it does happen, will be deemed and crowned as the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the sport, undoubtedly the best fighter in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, that's the most meaningful fight. You can argue if it's the biggest fight financially and popularity wise, but it's the most meaningful fight. So I can understand if Errol Spence is taking his time to try to make a fight like that. But as far as inactivity, does that impact Errol Spence? I truly believe that Earl has been doing this shit for so long, bro, and he know what he doing in that ring. He got the best coach in boxing. I don't think the inactivity impacts a guy like Errol Spence as it would other fighters. I'll be honest with you. I think Terrence Crawford is the same way. I think he could be out the ring for a year. You know what I'm saying? Even though we see him take these little fights that may not mean anything, but I think Terrence Crawford is one of those guys that, you know, he been doing this shit for so long, bro. Like, as long as you in the gym, you sparring, you keeping that rust off. When it comes down to getting under the lights, bro, you done seen this shit so many times, it really ain't shit to you. You know, so for all the people that's wondering, like, will the inactivity make Errol Spence a lesser version of himself? I don't think so. You know, I think at this point he gonna be ready to go. And whether it's Terrence Crawford or Keith Thurman, I think we'll see the best version of Errol Spence. And, you know, like I said, I would love to see him more active because you will see, like, in the Yordenis Ugas fight, in the first couple of rounds, he was a little, you know, there was some rust there, but then at the same time, I felt like it was the being at home element as well. You know, you in Dallas, Texas, you come out the South Side, the realest, with Big Tuck. You feel me? You at the crib. Everybody want to see you. You know what I'm saying? You want to get a knockout. You want to put on a biggest show. Like, you ain't had a stoppage in a couple of fights. So now you want to, like, I understand that. I get that. You know what I'm saying? And you missed out on a Manny Pacquiao fight. This is a unification match. I understand why Earl was a little bit jittery in the first couple of rounds, lunging and overextending himself, you know, trying to go for the big shots early. But once you seen him settle down after maybe round 4, round 5, you know, round 3, round 4, round 5, he got into that groove. And after that, you know, in the 6th round, he had the mental lapse with the mouthpiece, you know, took a clean shot from Yordenis Ugas with no mouthpiece, no protection in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Nothing to bite down on to help absorb the shock of the punch. Took a clean shot and got right back to whooping on Yordenis Ugas' ass that round. And then the round after that, round 7, probably had his best, up until that point, he had his best round of the fight. And he just got into that groove. So I think Earl is going to be fine. I think he's learned a lot from these last few fights, these last few times of having to experience the inactivity. And I think he's going to take that experience with him into this next fight. And I think he'll be great, man. I don't foresee any type of, you know, major ring rust or anything like that. I think Errol Spence is going to be the very best version of himself. And I think he's focused on the prize right now. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about inactivity for fighters in general? And then specifically for Errol Spence, do you think the inactivity will impact him? Do you think, you know, that he won't be able to be at his highest level because of the inactivity? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing. I holla at y'all boys, man.